All right, we are connecting. Connecting, folks. Connecting slowly.
Connecting.
Is it? Oh, okay. Here we go. We are live. All right, folks.
I see we
Welcome
are
to the Monday
live.
Monday morning podcast. We'll just wait a minute and a half here to get a quorum. Uh, I'll tell you before we get into box office per se. I had a big movie going breakthrough. I went with my son and his friends, and there were two teenagers in the seat in front of me, in the seat in front of us, who were watching TikTok during the trailers, and I did not throw popcorn at them or try to get them thrown out of the theater. I started to say something, but my son gave me a look that really suggested the family would be done.
Some lasting damage. Yeah.
That that we would corporate he would at age 13 be seeking
Emancipation. Yes. Right.
yeah
Yeah.
if I so I restrained myself, and they left after the trailers. They only stayed for the trailers, so it all worked out. What a happy ending.
Okay. That's a
I
little
have
more
no
puzzling.
I think God was just rewarding me for my restraint and showing me, like,
it's not a bad
show
theory.
show a little restraint and I'll get people out of your way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, we seem to have a quorum here. So the box office, the movies are saved, problem solved, as
Congratulations,
Inspector
Richard.
Clouseau says.
Yes.
Um, and all you got to do is do a live action remake of a animated show, and the eighth installment of a popular series. And then what's so hard about that?
Really not difficult at all. But Richard, I will say, man, I put this in the wake up last night, or whenever I sent that out on Sunday. Go a little deeper there. It's quite a diverse slate here. You had the family, adventure pick on the top there for all four quadrants. You got the action pick, which skewed, a little bit older, and are split these split demos between over and under 35. You have the horror pick still playing well in Final Destination. You have a prestige Oscars, Sinners, amazing cinematic experience. You have a comedy and friendship, A24 doing well. So, again, you program for different demos. You'll have a weekend where, not just the top two, but the top five are all five different genres right there. No, no repetition there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel a little better about that if Sinners wasn't 6 weeks old
True, but it's still
and
doing pretty
Minecraft
well.
wasn't eight weeks old.
Yeah,
That if there was more kind of within this 3 week period of that, I would
fair,
would
fair.
would would, would make me slightly more confident. But I appreciate the sentiment. I mean, I think someone estimated that the box office of everything below the top two was 50 million
Yeah,
uh,
sure.
added to, so which is good. It
We've had
helps.
weekends where it's only been 50 million last year. So, all in. So, yeah, not bad.
So what do you make of Lilo and Stitch? What are our takeaways from the success of
I
Lilo?
mean,
Sorry, Lilo.
I do that all the time, and I've been reprimanded
My
already, so I get a pass. You have kids at least, so
Yeah, they kick me in the shins frequently when I say Lilo.
I'm just gonna call it Stitch now, so they know that one. Yeah, I mean, this is a movie that just kept growing in the weeks going. The anticipation just kept like it was like almost like Barbie, Richard, where it's just like it's 120, no, it's 140, no, it's gonna do 180. It had that kind of momentum, and it delivered. It hit the number, which is nice. Some people, say over 200, which is probably a little bit high, but over 300 million global, for over 3 day or 4 day period. Look, the reviews are a little whatever. I don't think it's a critics movie, obviously. I mean, it's
Yeah,
playing amongst the demo. The quality I can't speak to, but this is but Richard, this is also Disney hasn't had a great year. This is their first hit in a sense. Nothing,
Yeah.
of course, Captain
Un-
America did 420 million. Like that's nothing to scoff at, but wasn't making money, And obviously, Snow
this
White
is
was a
a
disaster.
pure
This one's a
success.
banger. This is
Yeah.
raking in dough here. This is the first one Disney has had, because even Thunderbolts hasn't even made back its production budget yet. 4 weeks into the run here, so that one isn't gonna clear the bar financially. So that's what stands out here. Is this is Disney's real first big hit of the year to me, Richard. How about you?
Yeah. First truly like Disney like unqualified success that we were, there was a time when you counted on them to produce one of these every month,
Right. Yeah,
but
not been the case.
it's a modified expectations that which you get into with Marvel. We'll get into that. But what was the latent? I mean, so is the lesson of this that just take any? I mean, why Dora the Explorer didn't make 200 million on its opening weekend. So what is it
Yeah.
about this Lilo? Sorry. Our
But
own
just go
Abby
Stitch.
Barr
Yeah, I'm sure we're getting
chimed
smack
in
of the
and
smack of the back of the hand from the Gen Z contingent, and I think that kind of is that sweet spot, Richard. And it's funny we're seeing with Snow White and this, right? So Snow White, one of the most iconic properties or brands in the history of entertainment. Nobody cares. I mean, the movie, like it's this just kind of new nostalgia which just kind of worked
yeah.
in but we had this Moana was this two was the same thing. It was like, oh, that did amazing numbers earlier or end of last year. So that's what I think we're kind of seeing is this combination of you're getting the kids for Stitch coming in. You have their younger parents, and then you have that who are probably their younger millennials. But you have that Gen Z sweet spot who aren't bringing their kids, but they're going because they have that nostalgia because they grew up on it. I think this is a new sweet spot. I don't know how much IP there's in there for Disney to exploit, but this is kind of that range of thing where it's not about remaking Cinderella or the canon anymore, where it doesn't kids don't even know what that is at the time, or Snow White. It's about finding these hits, Richard. So I think that's if I'm taking any lesson away from this, that's what I would read into it for sure.
Yeah, something like you say about the IP, and this is I think the conundrum that Disney always finds itself in that you have this great trove of IP, these classic
Yeah,
titles, but if you don't do something with them, sort of every generation,
yeah,
Snow White is the most classic of animated titles. It's the
yeah,
original animated title, but it means nothing to millennials or Gen Z. They have no history with that or experience with that,
yeah.
and so they so much of this is sort of a Pavlovian like we're giving you your memory of what it was like to be 8 years old again, or
Totally.
however old you were when you watched Lilo.
Yeah. And I think
The
that's just that cycle has accelerated, Richard, where maybe it was 30 years before, or now it's like it's not that old of a property. So yeah, just some interesting observation. But it comes down to the property individually. You can remake another one that wouldn't do as well. And somebody Dora the Explorer, I don't know why. I mean, Disney does have that magic of having versus Paramount or other people that just don't have that destination. So,
so
but
what
it
else from
will.
the what
Well,
else
just
from the
one other.
'90s TV
Yeah,
vault are you
that's
eyeing for?
honestly, Richard. You read my mind exactly where I'm like, what am I missing? I'm sure Iger's doing the same thing. What else? What else can we grab here that's gonna do
That's
this
So
kind of a
Raven.
thing?
It's a
Exactly.
is ready. What
Yeah. I don't know.
the
Yeah.
it the Hannah Montana is probably about time for its
Yeah.
comeback there.
Yeah. So
The
tied to Miley Cyrus, but I guarantee this what the development meetings are this morning in Hollywood, Richard, are probably we're doing what we're doing right now is probably hey, what else we got here that we can throw out for this
Yeah,
generation. So
I would caution them to look at Dora, which I don't recall. I don't think that was a flop, but it was not
no, it's just not
the
the level of this kind of
biggest film.
movie.
That
Yeah.
is, you can't automatically press the '90s button and the world for some reason Lilo had this
It
hold on.
has a hold on, yeah, which I can't explain. It's not for me, not for us Gen Xers,
So if it's
Richard. It's beyond
Lilo,
us.
So if it's Lilo, is it Stitch? Is it
Yeah,
Lilo and Stitch?
I got I got to find a cheat in my brain for this because it's just not my Gen X brain is just not going to
Yeah,
accept this one into my head. So I'm glad I get
exactly.
Frozen right. That's probably more my level of expertise is at.
Exactly.
So
And then you have Mission Impossible. Eighth time is the charm for Tom
right,
Cruise. There,
not part seven, part two, but part eight, Richard, because the plots were
you
definitely
know
not a continuation, Richard.
it's famous within the world of franchises that you always have that part seven doldrums, and
Oh, is that
you always
right? Okay,
the it's called the seventh installment slump, and
this is
you
new to
always
me.
just you got to kind of just get past that,
Get over it. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you're up, and then it will be
Smooth
and
sailing.
then so from here to number 16 it will just be keep growing.
Yeah.
What do you say to that,
Yeah,
Sean?
just ask the Fast and Furious franchise. I'm sure they would definitely, yeah.
Uh,
Not sure that was their experience, but yeah, yeah,
but why did this do better than the last one? Very similar films.
yeah.
They both
Very,
they both
very
were
similar films.
they were
Same
both
cast.
reckonings. They were both
Yeah, both reckonings. Yeah, same
they both
director,
had
same writer.
Tom same director, same writer, same Tom Cruise doing sort of jaw dropping stunts.
Yeah,
Uh, Same uh, 7 hour running time.
right.
So what was the difference this time?
I'm going to really chalk it up to a release date, Richard. I just think that was a big. We're not talking a big difference, and that had a 5 day. I think that was a Wednesday opening. I think the last one, Richard, if I'm not mistaken. So this one, I think Tom Cruise Memorial Day weekend is a more powerful combination than Tom Cruise middle of July, which can again get you an extra 5 to 10 million. I mean, I could see that. Obviously, it's the last time Tom will be doing this role, which has a little bit of juice to it. But I
Yeah,
think I
the
would
last
the
time,
last time. That's what he
the
said.
last time for now that he will be doing
Yeah,
this
for
role.
now until we have when he's 70 years old. So I would honestly put the Memorial Day factor as as to why this one is doing better off the bat here, unless you have something else that was in your mind, but that was really what stuck out
I
to me.
I I think that the last one was a victim of the success of Top Gun Maverick, and Maverick was
Mm,
such a huge
mm.
phenomenon that Maverick was kind of still a live entity when the
In the popular
Mission
culture,
Impossible
maybe. 7 Yeah,
campaign began. So it was
true.
kind
From a
of
marketing point of view, yeah.
how can we miss you if you won't go away?
Okay.
It was there was no break from Tom Cruise, and there was no great break, and the story of Maverick and the story of Part Seven were very much the same. Tom Cruise, there he is back on top doing his own stunts and everything,
Right.
and this time, I think because of the underperformance of the last one, you actually had a little Tom Cruise hiatus or whatever you call it. So
Okay. I
little
could give you that too. Yeah. Yeah.
sabbatical
Sabbat-
uh,
Tom
of
sabbatical. Right.
a few months, which gave us time to say, oh, hey, we haven't seen Tom Cruise jump
Yeah,
off an
Tom's back.
airplane for a
Oh,
long
great.
time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And wow, look how good he looks for 75 or however old he is. Um, that's my thought. That it was.
Yeah.
What do
Okay.
you?
No, I mean, Richard, it's funny. Maybe you can help me out on this one, Richard. I don't know where these pieces are, but I haven't seen the pieces saying you spent $400 million on this. How irresponsible! You gave Tom Cruise a cut of the
Yeah,
first dollar. Oh man,
exactly.
where's that crowd on this one? I don't. I'm very happy this movie's doing well. It did 190 million globally, and but this movie from this is a victim of the strikes. They had a lot of production delays and things like that. But the number that's out there, whether that's 400 million or 350, whatever you want to do, that is a hefty price tag on this movie. No Mission Impossible movie has ever made $800 million globally. Number one. So will this one be it? I don't. Maybe we'll get there, but I will say. Quite a contrast to the Sinners reception of this movie. No one's talking about this part. Not that it needs to be a part of the conversation. Just something kind of curious that what gets a pass and what doesn't, Richard,
Well,
at this stage of the game.
I think we say complaints about budget in the trade today basically equal why are you spending money on this thing that I don't care about?
Yes,
Me,
right.
the reporter.
There's a
So
subtle. Yes, right.
if it's a movie that I want to see, Fantastic
Exactly.
Four,
It's a movie
by all
for
means,
45-year-old white
you
dudes.
know,
Yeah, finally, yeah,
you
uh-huh.
you can't put too many billions into a new Fantastic Four
Yeah, right.
or something. But some
Yeah,
or tour thing
yeah.
that that's
How
not
dare
something you
you?
spend money on. That what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
and
But
and certainly you can't give too much money to Tom Cruise
yeah.
criminal plane. I stand on the side of every movie should be overfunded, and
You were the most
you
popular person in amongst the actor community, I think, in Hollywood, Richard.
yes
That's very true. Yes, the talent
that
community.
you that you should throw around lots of money there. So
All right,
so
Richard Rushfield, the studio head. There we go. Overspending productions.
yeah,
Richard Rushfield, but
uh,
uh, yeah, but you know, but Richard, you've talked about this in the context. You know, the Skydance deal is of course still looming and with Paramount, but you know, do you let this thing? This is clearly Tom's, and you know, with this kind of budget, Richard. It's like they're not. This is Tom's last movie. I think Paramount's not itching to make another $300 million Mission Impossible movie. I'm very curious to see what they'll do with it. I think they could let this thing die. It's like probably not. You don't buy Paramount and let one of your biggest franchises die. But for this iteration, I think this is really it. I don't know if you had another thought on that, but
I don't know. I don't think David Ellison, when he takes over the studio, in how many weeks do they have to get this approved now? They're
about
like
five,
three.
four or
They're
five.
like
It's end of June is the day they put out there. So about a month
yeah,
here.
but no, but
Yeah,
I think there's legally no extensions possible after that.
there's one more
So
till September. They have one more to go. Yep,
okay,
yep.
uh, but the two big franchises of Paramount when these conversations started 100 years ago were Transformers and Mission Impossible, and
Right.
Transformers is kind of on ice right now
Yeah.
for
And
whatever
Star Trek
reason.
too is in this too, I would say. So I would say
Yeah,
maybe three.
Star Trek also on
Also trying to
ice,
figure that one out. Yeah.
and Mission Impossible having just had its biggest opening. He's going to say, "So what
Right.
have you got?" And like, well, we just had our biggest opening of this, but we think it needs a little time to breathe now. How
Yeah, we're gonna
and
give it. We're gonna give it in 2033. We're gonna look at
yeah,
reviving it. Yeah,
we'll start talking about the casting then and
and
all
we'll
that.
call
So
Glenn Powell's agent then. Yeah, yeah.
speaking of which, by the way, you notice that Skydance had two releases on the same weekend.
Well, one was in theaters and one was on your home TV screen there, Richard. Yeah.
Right, that's interesting. That one
Uh,
overwhelmed and one underwhelmed.
well,
So
we're talking about Fountain of Youth, of course. That's the
yeah.
John
Sorry.
Krasinski and Natalie Portman movie on Apple TV Plus, which is they did some quite a bit. I saw a bit of advertising on that where they were promoting it. It's a Guy Ritchie directed, movie. I
Yeah.
don't know that the reviews were that kind, but yeah, two Skydance. Well, I mean, Skydance has invested in Mission Impossible. It's not 100% Skydance, but a big
Okay.
portion of it. So
So looking down at the rest of the box office, Final Destination. How you feeling about
yeah, still, I mean, we're
get 23 million
that movie.
for
I mean, the last one in 2013, whatever it was, did 155 million globally. This one's already at 187 and is still doing 20 million a weekend. So like this one is just, can't get enough credit for this one to, to revive this franchise and really being adopted. So that's doing gangbusters. So Thunderbolts, as I
and then we
said,
get the Thunderbolts, and
week
you
week
had an
four.
interesting piece about the new Marvel math here, which
Yeah.
uh, was disturbing. I think yeah, if you're looking, I mean, you were suggesting there's a new kind of normal median. That new normal median is like 40% of what the old normal median was.
Depends upon your franchise, but yeah, I mean, obviously, since COVID, I think we've talked about this question. What is the new business for Marvel? And I just was like, well, let me go, really go back and look at this and see what happened, or what, the public will tell you exactly right. So but the arc has really kind of been 2021. They were doing kind of this 400, 500 million, and it was coming out of COVID. So again, we're kind of coming back and movie going, and all right, getting some momentum. 2022, it was doing. You had Doctor Strange doing 900 million. You had Guardians, and like it was back to that, just say 600 to 900 million range. Which is like, okay, that was 2022. That was also the year that they started stuffing Disney Plus with Marvel series, and everybody's getting Marvel fatigue. And then lo and behold, 2023, you start seeing the numbers start to dip. Again, you can put quality things on this, Richard. I'm not going to get into that argument if the movies got worse or whatever it might be, which also could be a factor here. But the automatic, that habit, Richard, of like, oh, new Marvel film, I'm going to go see it. And that was the tune of 600 million to 900 million people, or $1 million globally at box office. That was starting to go down. Then the disaster of the Marvels, obviously, and then Iger cleared the slate in 2024 with just Deadpool, and Deadpool exists in its own, rationale. And now we took the year off, Richard. We've come back. We've had two movies, one with a known franchise in Captain America. Thunderbolts, obviously newish or newer IP, however you want to refer to it. Again, both doing about 400, 420, 400, $40 million, and kind of going back to what those 2021 movies were doing. So it's kind of like, if you're going to ask me, they released, I think the number was, I'm leaving the Spider-Man, the Madam Webs and those things out of the question because they were just, bad ideas all around. But so you got 15 movies since COVID and Marvel films, including anything Spider-Man, and you have about six of them doing under $450 million. Like the mean of that, if you're looking at what's most of these films doing, that's what the audience seems to be telling you. If you're looking for, hey, how many more of these do we do that aren't Avengers and Deadpool's, which are going to do the big number? So that, and how much do you spend on that, right? Because then I'm like, well, you're spending because that's what you used to spend before when you were making 600, $700 million guaranteed. You're not making that
Mm.
anymore. So should you be spending less? That's the kind of thing, the math I broke down in the wake up today.
I mean, dare I say, I don't know what all the ancillary revenues and the toys
Well,
and
sure, right. There's
they've got a
yes,
Marvel land, so I'm sure nobody's going to be homeless because of this. But
no, no. To be clear, yes,
but that's a the, does Marvel economics work if
yes,
at
right.
40% less? And I would suggest just eyeballing it without knowing all the details. That's problematic.
It's yeah. You're no longer making all your money back, including your marketing and theatrical, within say 4 to 6 weeks, which is what it was. And again, to your point, they're not losing. These movies will make money eventually through the windows and so forth. But if that
But
profit margin is now a year down the road versus a month before, like that's no one likes to see that. I'll put it that
so
way.
when you're in the Disney business of you're not putting out 20 movies a year, you're putting out 10 movies a year.
Mm,
You have to consider opportunity costs and everything you do.
right.
And
It's capital
that
investment. Yeah.
yeah, the and your whole company is behind this and you're and yeah, yeah
Cranking
and
up the
everything.
engine and yeah,
Yeah. And to just and you can't do all that to say, oh, we'll squeak by. We'll be
yeah, we'll,
okay.
we'll, we'll break even ish. Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
do all that effort.
down the
Yeah,
down the like this. Your that whole premise of the nothing but hits. I mean
right.
that's what this whole thing is that you're saying we will give you nothing but hits. So
Hmm.
what you need is to have for those movies to be hits.
Yeah, I mean, I did the math back in the 2010s, which obviously knows is a big thing, but there was only one movie that made less than $450 million globally. And from Iron Man to COVID, for Sony, for Disney and Sony, not the Fox X-Men movies, but like one movie made what less than $450 million
What
globally
what was
in
that
that
one movie?
whole the original Captain America, which was $370 million. So everything else was, and like well over, most of it was well over 450. The original first Thor was like 450. Then everything else was doing 600. I was just doing that as a baseline. And now you have, in a 4 year period here, you've had six movies do less than $450 million. So again, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
the math changes. Again, maybe there's a business here, but you got to adjust. I think you got to adjust your spending on this, or adjust your cadence on this. And that's why there's so much. I mean, we'll see what Fantastic Four does this summer, Richard. I mean, there's actually a lot riding on this, and I've been seeing the marketing has been rolling out under the NBA games, and they're really going with this like broad family. There's obviously involves a pregnancy, the storyline, of the Fan Four movie, and like a very 60s retro kind of like friendly, like it's for everybody vibe on the marketing. And I'm very curious to see if this pulls in the more that
I'm also
casual.
curious. I'm also curious of what that does for Superman, with Superman having
Right. That's
campaign of it. So it's kind of a similar color palette and kind of emotional
yeah. Okay.
palette in a way at the same time, and I'm
Yeah.
worrying how much it's muddying
And it's like the
the
America,
landscape there.
like as the Fan Four has to like save America, and obviously
Yeah,
Superman, that's he's the American way and all that stuff. So yeah,
kind of
it's a good
like
point.
uh, we'll see.
We'll
We'll see
see.
if the public can figure that. But I just think my feeling is that with superhero movies now, the bar has you really need a clear message to if you want to do what we have thought of as superhero box office and not just okay, because
Yep.
that's still possible.
Yep.
Uh, you need a real clear. Deadpool and Wolverine had a real clear story and message to tell,
Yeah. I mean,
and a real
and point of view when name your yeah
yeah
across the board. But yeah, I think so. But this is the last Fan Four, is it? And then till the Avengers, Richard. So again, I think
yeah
they're really whatever this Avengers movie, they have a lot. That's going to need to launch whatever Marvel's going to be in the late 2020s into 2030s. Like these two movies need to spin off these other movies, or cause, whatever the thematic, thing's going to be. It can't just be, well, we're doing another Black Widow movie in 2029 or whatever. I'm very curious to see creatively what those films spawn, because that's I think the gist there, in that
yeah.
era that needs to happen. So we'll see.
All right, we got to get out of here. Before we go,
Yeah.
anything else in the down the box office list standing out to you?
No, just a shout
Deserving of
out
outcome? The Alma
to
Richards story made
yeah.
$10,000.
Friendship, of course,
Yeah,
A24 did some
yeah.
look, it's a
Uh,
comedy, Richard. We have a comedy in the
my
marketplace.
my
So
my my favorite category, R-rated comedies. So
yeah, kudos
go
to
friendship,
A24 there. And we
for
had a
friendship.
Western, Richard. We had a Western. We should mention we had a Western, The Last Rodeo from Angel.
Last rodeo.
So we also
Uh,
had a Western in the mix. So look at that.
yeah.
Diversity there.
Modern Western, Accountant 2, kind of
Yeah,
nuts and
that one's
bolts
been kind
thriller.
of underperforming a little bit. And so that was
Yeah.
Richard. That was doing the classic 75% of the original. That what you estimate. When you greenlight
Yeah.
a sequel sometimes. So not terrible, but could use some. It'll use some help in the Prime Video money. Put it that way. So
Um, so my takeaway is good good weekend. A good weekend is good. Don't get carried away with this.
no,
There
no, as
a lot
always,
of
it's a
a lot of tough things to replicate here, and we'll see what this means down the line.
yeah. We got
So
a Karate Kid this
no,
Friday, so I'm gonna see that tonight. So we'll see how that does this weekend. So
you know, not to be over. All right, great nerding with you here.
as always,
We're, and thanks everybody for joining us. We will be back next Monday with the Monday morning box office quarterbacks on Monday next week.
all right.
All right, take care.
Thanks everybody.